dream with anyone. She's made it through heaven, she's made it through hell. It's just another story to tell. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen? Filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights. Making up a bar queen on the phone in the great big boulevard, the place she belongs. It's just another story she tells. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen? Filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights. Through Hollywood nights. Through Hollywood nights.
From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, cause BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro, lights, camera, action. Action, action, action. Let's go. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart.
Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday night edition of The Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the Bearded Villains Worldwide Brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Usually. Oh, guys, it's a great Thursday night. So much to talk about tonight. This one's going to go by quick. We're going to get the business end of things in and out, as we say. And then get right into our two great interviews. Tonight is episode 151. It is September 8th, 2022. And tonight we are going to be talking with 2 of our awesome brothers who have events going on here in the States this weekend, in different parts of the States. I'm talking about the Battle of the Beards in Evansville, Indiana. We'll be talking with Popeye, captain of Southern Indiana Villains, talking about that. And then we're also going to be talking with Mayhem, Mr. Mayhem, from BV Rocky Mountain, talking about Four Corners meat that guys are already out there camping and chilling and having a good old time with. I don't know if anybody out there is going to be able to watch this live. They're out in the campground area. They're out in the wilderness there on the mountains and whatnot in Cortez, Colorado, or just outside Cortez, Colorado. So I have no idea if any of the Four Corners guys are watching this live. But if you are, guys, stay safe and have a blast out there this weekend. I know that there's still there are people already gathering together in Evansville as of today, so you guys are probably not paying any attention to this at all tonight, and that's just fine. Go have your fun. But tonight, like I said, we're going to be talking with Popeye. We're going to be talking with Mayhem. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who has just recently found the show, saying hi to you guys. This is awesome. Thank you, especially given the fact that, hey, if you're here tonight and this is like fairly new to you, this is not the normal time. Normally we are an hour earlier. However, and this is a public service announcement for everybody that is here live right now and listens, pays attention to the time that this goes live. Everything's going to be pushed back an hour for the next few weeks, and I will keep you updated when it goes back to the 8 o'clock Central Hour. The reason being is kind of something fun for me, and I'm helping out with a local production, a local theater, community theater production of Spam-A-Lot. Spam-A-Lot. Very, very funny musical. And I'm helping out with it doing sound for that. So rehearsals run till a certain hour, and then I have to be there, and you know what it is. By the time I get back home, it's just way too tight of a window. There's no way that I can get this thing started off on time, so I needed to push it back an hour. So that's going to go for a few weeks, and then we'll be back to our normal time. I would like to say, as I always do, a howdy, howdy, howdy to everybody who is here live in the YouTube channels. Mr. Rababa over there in England. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, sir. Bearded Repo, BVRM. Evening, y'all. Out at Four Corners. Yes, he's giving a shout out to everybody that's out at Four Corners. One Feather, Wayne is in the house as well. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Buddy's in the house as well. Rob's hanging out with us. Good to see you here. Mr. Rob Fetters is here. Ed, my co-cap Ed, is hanging out with us as well. He is headed down to Evansville tomorrow, as well as I am and a few of our other guys, going down to Battle of the Beards this weekend. A nice, just a few hours away, close meet for us. Huntbot. Tim, how you doing, Tim? Mars is here. Forge is here. Rob says, I'll just say it so maybe she's listening. Rob says his daughter, Aston, says hi. So hi, how you doing? Good to see you here. I don't know if you're going to last this whole time or not. It might be kind of boring for you, but we'll see. Joker is in the house as well. How we doing, Joker? Yeah. So, and the other thing too is, guys, tonight is the start. If you like NFL football, the football game is currently going on right now, and if you're watching this, hopefully your attention is diverted also to the game. If you're a big NFL fan, I appreciate that you're watching this and that simultaneously, if that's the case. I actually have it on in the background, so so I can see some stuff going on in the background as I'm talking to you guys. So, yeah, big day. I want to give a quick shout out to everybody that's family, that is kind of struggling or hurting today, saddened today by the passing over there in England, by the passing of Queen Elizabeth. I have never, I'm darn near 50. I'm pushing 50. I've never known a life where she's not been over there around. Whenever somebody talks about the Queen, even though those of us here in the States really don't know much about the royalty and the monarchy or whatever that is that everything's referred to over there, even though most of us are kind of dumb to that over here, we don't understand what the Queen's position actually is. Is there, one of these days I'll have to learn what the structure is over there and what power, if any, they hold, or how that works. Because I know that there's an established government as well. But anyway, I'm just dumb to it. But I know that she has been a figure for a very long time, a staple in that country, the longest reigning, I believe, is what I've heard. So I know that today is a sad day over there in England. So our prayers and thoughts are with all of you guys over there that are saddened by today's news of her passing. And we're going to get back to her in just a few minutes. Well, guys, this is going to be a jam-packed episode. So what I want to do is I want to slide right in to get to our chapter merch, give a shout-out to a specific chapter tonight, and then we're just going to slide right into our interviews, because our interviews are kind of long tonight. Lots of fun conversation with Popeye and also with Mayhem. So we're just going to get right into our chapter merch. All right. So a couple of updates based on some things I just said a few minutes ago while I'm here talking about chapter merch. Rob says, yes, she is listening. Well, good to see you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Mr. Bearded Rippo BVRM, Rocky Mountain, he is here. He says he is there and it's beautiful at Four Corners Meat. I bet it is. I've seen some pictures already. I'm jealous that you guys get to hang out there, have an entire weekend of just hanging out, brotherhood stuff. Very, very cool stuff. All right, so chapter merch this week. I just have a handful of things that have popped up, a couple of old things and a couple of new things. So we're just going to get right into it. The Bearded Villains, West North Carolina, WNC, their merch release. I believe that this is still all accurate and out. They have a shirt for $20 to $25, a whiteout patch for $10, and a very special edition patch that says BVWNC on it for $25. You have to reach out to them directly. There's no store to go to. Contact Chris or contact Jeff with BVWNC for further information, grabbing one of those guys. Next up, Lakeshore Villains. Lakeshore Villains had a big 2-year release, their second anniversary release coming out this week. It's a 2-week pre-sale. I think it's still active. If it's not, then I'm sorry, Mars. Mars will tell me in the comments section if my math was wrong or not. If I tried to extend it a week longer than I should have. But it was a 2-week pre-sale with only 50 numbered patches available. Maybe they just hit the 50. Maybe they already hit the 50. I don't know. But they also had a 2-year anniversary T-shirt. So I'm assuming Mars will tell me in the comment section if he's still live with us. It was all their stuff's available at lakeshorevillains.com. Lakeshorevillains.com. Next up, Bearded Villains Puerto Rico. I got a comment. Whoops. I got a comment earlier today reminding me that the Puerto Rico patch is out and about and available, and raising some money for their chapter. So what you got to do for this patch, it's $15 shipped to the U.S. It's a black and white patch. You have to reach out directly to them via PayPal. So it's Bearded Villains Puerto Rico 1 at gmail.com. Bearded Villains Puerto Rico 1 at gmail.com is for that guy. Going back to the Lakeshore patch and shirt, Mars just chimed in, says patch is sold out, but the shirt is still available. So if you want to grab one of those cool second anniversary shirts, they are available. Reach out, lakeshorevillains.com. See, that's what I love about being live. We can get responses very quickly. Bearded Villains New England, the Saints have a new shirt they've just popped out for us all. American Foundation of Suicide Prevention Walk shirt. It's a very bright, cool color with a bearded teddy bear on the front of it. And it's ranging in price from $28 to $34. Hit up Bearded Villains New England chapter directly on Instagram. They have a store page, but to be quite honest, it's one of those store pages that is, it's a direct link to another site type of thing, not Big Cartel. And so it was way too long for me to try and type it out to put it on this slide. So the best I can tell you is that there is a direct link from their Instagram bio, from their IG bio on their IG page. So head over to the Saints, to the Bearded Villains New England chapter IG page if you want to grab one of these to help them out with their American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Walk. And then finally, not finally yet, I got 2 more things. Bearded Villains Peru. Bearded Villains Peru has celebrating their 6th anniversary patch. Now, this again is a little bit more difficult to get to, but hey, I have some of their patches and they do ship them out pretty quickly. So just send them a direct message, a DM on Instagram, and they will set you straight. They will get the order set up for you, tell you how to pay for it, and they will ship those guys right out. But Very cool patches. They've kept that tradition going with some really, really sweet patches. That's Bearded Villains Peru. And then finally, my chapter here. We've just got another week, maybe two left on this guy. It's a pre-sale for the Bearded Villains Northern Indiana. It's the return. It goes along with our Ezra. You see the imagery on it. And our logo features a scarecrow named Ezra. And this is the Ezra Crow World Tour t-shirt. The Ezra Crow World Tour t-shirt pre-sale. It's available at beardedvillainsnorthernindiana.bigcartel.com. This thing is $25 to $27 shipped, and big sizes are included. Big sizes are included. So head over there. Has a really cool graphic image on the front of it, and the back side says Ezra Crow World Tour, and it indicates all of the cities that members of our chapter have been to, representing the chapter in Ezra this year. And there may be some that get added. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But that's the shirt, and that's the Ezra Crow World Tour t-shirt. That is the rest of that's the end of what we got so far for this week for chapter merch, guys. Okay. Now, what I wanted to do is give a shout out to a chapter. And I don't specifically have a page or a slide page for you to view. But what I will say is, please, please, please go over to the Bearded Villain Peru Instagram page. Earlier this week, they actually were featured on, it looked like a news station there. Now, I obviously don't speak Spanish, and some of the translations were a little bit off, but it was very cool to see. They got some really good attention for helping out. It looked like a homeless endeavor. And anytime that our villains do something, obviously we want to give it a spotlight, but this was actually on the news down there, it looked like. So a big shout out to Bearded Villains Peru for helping out in their community in such an awesome, awesome way. Very cool to see. All right. So, one of the things that I said before I get into our interviews, I said I wanted to come back to speaking for just a few minutes on Queen Elizabeth II. And here we go. All right. I'm bringing back a segment that we have done before a few times, and this is 3 inspiring minutes. 3 inspiring minutes, where I will pick something out, somebody's quote or something like that can help give us a little bit of inspiration and whatnot. And with her passing today, this just kind of seemed to make a lot of sense to pull out some of her wise words. What's funny about the position of the Queen. Here in the States, we don't see her often. We don't hear about her often. I know that obviously you do over in England a lot more, but we never see her really speak. We never get to see a personality in all these years. I don't remember ever seeing. It always just seemed like she was very stoic and very proper, and never really got to show the personality. People of certain charge here in the States that are political figures or whatnot, not obviously royalty, but they seem to at least have some sort of a avenue where they can kind of show their personality, and we just don't get to see that from the royalty over there. It seems like, anyway, that we maybe it's out there, and I just haven't been paying attention for the last 48 years. But so I delved into a little bit of her history and some of the things that she has said over time. So I just want to bring up a few things, and there's some really cool quotes that are attributed to her. So let's get into the 3 minutes. So I pulled up a few here, and a few here on the page, and some of these are really, really well said. She's been quoted as saying, "When life seems hard, the courageous do not lie down and accept defeat. Instead, they are all the more determined to struggle for a better future. That is pretty cool. When life seems hard, this is something that we can all take advice with. When life seems hard, the courageous do not lie down and accept defeat. Instead, they are more determined to struggle for a better future. That's a good one. Something that we can take with us. Another one is that really struck me was she was quoted as saying, "It has always been easy to hate and destroy. To build and to cherish is much more difficult." Now that's something that we live in this world right now where it seems like with social media and everything else that's going on, all the politics dividing us, all of the hate, the anger, everything else that's out there. Come back to those words where she said, "It has always been easy to hate and destroy, but to build, to cherish is much more difficult." Wise words. One other one that she said was, "It's worth remembering that it is often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring about the most lasting change." You know, oftentimes we are always talking about the future. We're talking about how we want to change the future for the better. And our default mechanism is to want to make all of these grand gestures, these huge steps, so that maybe something happens a little faster. But what's really cool about this quote, when you read it, think deeply about it for a second. It's worth remembering that it is often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring about the most lasting change. So cool. Very, very, very wise words. I never got to hear her speak, but to know that she has these words that are attributed to her in an incredible life of public service. And the last one I'll leave you with is this. She said, "Over the years, those who have seemed to me to be the most happy, contented, and fulfilled have always been the people who have lived the most outgoing and unselfish lives." That's one of those that I think we as villains, what we live for, and the drive that we have to help others, to make others' lives better, and not be so self-centered in what we do, that's one that we can take with us. Over the years, those who have seemed to me to be the most happy, contented, and fulfilled have always been the people who have lived the most outgoing and unselfish lives. Those are her words. Those are her words, guys. Well, let's move on into the meat and potatoes, as we say, of this show tonight. We want to share with you an interview that I had this week with Popeye. And this is Battle of the Beards week, and it's always such a great time. Battle of the Beards has been put on by the guys down there in southern Indiana, and for several years now, always, benefiting some local veterans organization. It's changed over the years how they distribute the money, where it goes, but it's always for such a great cause. Always a local endeavor revolving around veterans causes. And they do it so well. It's so well run, and it's just always a blast. People come from all over. So a big shout out to Southern Indiana on this event, Battle of the Beards. I want to take you back here. This is my interview I had earlier this week, just a couple days ago, with Popeye. And we're talking Battle of the Beards. Okay, this weekend, it is that time again. I'm speaking about the time for Battle of the Beards, an awesome event hosted by the Southern Indiana Villains. Been going on for several years now. It gets better each year. Can't wait. I will be down there again celebrating Battle of the Beards with our next guest, Popeye. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, not too bad. What's up?
Dude, I'm excited for this weekend. We always have a great time. Battle of the Beards, it's every year it's a little bit different, and it's fun for that way because it's one of those events that it's kind of like you just don't know what's going to happen, who's going to get into something. The stories, the pictures, everything that just kind of emerge from that weekend are always pretty classic. So, could you just kind of go through for us a little bit what the plans? Because I know each year you guys do a little something different with it, and this year no different. You're doing something a little different for the charity aspect of it. Can you just kind of go through what this year's event is going to be about and to benefit, and what all you're going to be doing with that?
The charity of choice this year is military with PTSD, and what they do is it's a little different. Um, most people think of that type of stuff. It kind of revolves around like counseling or some form of a clinic or hospital or something, anyways. But that's not the case with this one. What they actually do is they help provide cheap to free concert tickets and stuff of that nature to different events and whatnot, and to veterans. And I think like Saint has he's gone to a couple of shows, I believe. I can't remember who he's seen, and a couple other guys that I know personally, anyways, outside the club that have been involved with it, anyways. And what they do, like I said, it's a little different, but it's a good release. As a veteran myself, it's kind of one of those things where everything's a little bit different on how you want to deal with stuff. And PTSD, obviously, it affects everybody a little bit differently. So, and for some guys, it's just the relaxation, if you will, the enjoyment of going to an event, a concert, some kind of venue like that. That's just something that they like to do, and they help you with seating if it's going to be, um, you have issues with crowds and whatnot. So they kind of help out with that as well. So,
Wow.
and then, um, so that's the charity of choice. Saturday we will be going to. There's actually a local car show in town, and these guys are supporters of ours, and we have a few guys that go out and help them out too, and support the shows and whatnot. So they've allowed us to go over there a little bit early, and we're going to do a flag shoot over there with a bunch of the cars, some military vehicles that are going to be on site, and it'd be a little different, anyways. I'm not saying it's never been done. I just haven't been to one of those events. Um, and then after that, obviously, go get set up and get the comp rolling. And then Sunday, probably get up and do breakfast as always. And then at noon, I believe, everything's last minute right now. It's all numbers jumbled in my head. Sorry, but I believe it's at noon. But we go out and help out with the Challenger Baseball League. And everybody that's here this weekend is more than welcome to come out there and help us out. We typically go out there and grill. There's parents of the athletes and whatnot. I just don't feel that they need to be out there doing that kind of stuff, because if you've ever been to like anything like that, you're standing inside of a booth or some kind of restricted viewing. Anyways, you cannot see your children and enjoy it. So we just went over there and told them to get the hell out of the way, basically, for lack of better terms. And we do all the grilling for them. We do help them, assist them around the bases, batting, fielding, and all that stuff as well. So it's a good time.
Wow. Yeah, I've never, I've known other chapters that have done Challenger stuff before, and that's never something I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. But so that's very, very cool. I didn't know anything about that. Unfortunately, I almost wish I had extra time on my Sunday. I could just stay down there and hang out with you guys doing that for a little bit. But
You can go for a few minutes. You don't have to be there the whole day.
well, I have to be on the road well before noon to get back on Sunday night.
It's all relative.
You tell my wife that. That's fine. It's all relative. Yeah.
Shoot me your number.
Yeah. She'll really enjoy that one from you. But let me just get back real quick to your charity that's doing this. How did you guys just have that connection through Saint or through some of the friends of yours that you knew about this organization that way? Or
Saint's the one that kind of led the charge on that. Like I said, he's I hate to say the term, taken advantage of the services anyways, but he has benefited
He's
from it.
utilized their
So
services. Yeah.
as a musician himself, it's his piece. It's something that he just it just puts him in a different place, a happy place, if you will.
Yeah.
And he's just taken a liking to it. And whenever we started going through different charities and whatnot, that was brought up, and that was the one that we ended up going with. So.
And you said this organization actually helps them out as far as trying to make sure that they're going to find seating at these events that's comfortable for them.
I don't know if they can at all
Okay.
venues, but if they can, from what I've been told, I think they will. Now,
Wow.
obviously, there's certain places. I mean, you're not going to go get into, floor seats and
No.
necessarily get put off way over off to the side just by yourself sitting over there. But I mean, they try to, if you ask for, you know, an exit row or something like that, or just all the way up to nosebleeds, basically, they'll be more than willing to accommodate you. I'm pretty sure. So.
Wow. Well, I mean, I've known people that um, have PTSD and to the extent of that close contact is an issue with that for some of them. Some claustrophobia has set in for some people. People that,
Speaking from
like you said.
experience, it's not that. Um, I go sit somewhere in a restaurant. I go to a bar. I go in public. Typically, not like always, anyways, but I hate sitting with my back to a door.
Oh,
I
sure.
hate sitting with my back to everybody. And it's because then I can't see what's going on and I just feel uncomfortable. And that's just, it's a common thing with veterans.
Right.
I'm not going to say that that's not the case with outside people, of the military, anyways. But it's very, very common with veterans, and it's just kind of one of those things. So, like you go into a lot of places. Most guys that are veterans, anyways, especially combat veterans, you just look for an exit just because it was a survival tactic, a survival mode kind of thing, and you just want to be aware of your surroundings. So that's like it's not that you don't like people per se. You just like to be able to know your surroundings
Right.
is
Okay.
is the big thing.
Yeah. I get that. I do get that to an extent from my end from my former profession. I do get that. It's always fun when you're in a room full of those, or what you're sitting down to dinner with a handful
Hmm.
of guys with that similar feel, because then it's like whoever gets to the table first. It's a mad rush to, hey, we're all going to sit on the same side of the table. It's like we're
Well, I
dating.
mean, like my wife, she knows whenever we go sit somewhere. Anyways, just for a while, it was just I wasn't thinking it. She just would sit down if it was the closest spot, or she would just walk around to the backside. But it just I'm like, no, I do not sit with my back to doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I literally feel like more comfortable sitting in a corner, even though some people would feel that's trapped, but I can see everything.
You see everything.
It just
Absolutely.
makes me feel more comfortable. It's
Yep.
just a peace of mind thing.
My wife still does the same thing. Still does that same thing. We go to restaurants. She stops. You want this, right? She a lot of times she doesn't even ask. She just sits down
Yeah,
away from the door and lets me have the other side. So,
yeah.
yeah, they get trained. They know. So,
Hmm.
well, that's
And
such a
it's
cool organization, man.
mhm.
That's a really, and it's unique. And that's something that you guys have been very good at doing with Battle of the Beards in the years that you guys have been hosting this thing. Where, and it's not. I don't necessarily want to go back and reminisce with all the different the other organizations that you partnered with, but one of the cool things I've always loved about Battle of the Beards was that it's always been veteran based
Yeah.
in some capacity.
Year
Number
five, at
one,
all 5 years have been veteran based so far.
yeah, and I love that, and I love the fact that it's been something that's usually some kind of a smaller, lesser known charity, localized, or at least that has some direct impact locally in
Hmm.
your community, rather than a huge national thing. So it's a very home based feel
Hmm.
that Battle of the Beards has always had. So
And
um,
that's
it's
one thing that
awesome.
we've always preached to the charity too, um, even to the point of if we have to ask for receipts, like I want to know where this money's going. And if it goes to pay somebody's salary, if it goes to buy paper for the office, like I'm not the chapter as a whole. That's not our goal. Like we want to help those that this charity's designed to help. I get it. You need all of that to make it happen. But like when we did the Gresham House,
Mhm.
they literally put an entire new bathroom in.
Yeah.
They put a kitchen downstairs. They put a whole different. We gave them far more than what they were expecting. So they, I mean, the first year it was 2,500. We gave them respectable. Not saying it's, but it was a little bit lesser than what we had hoped for, but
Right.
it was the building process. And then the next year we hit them with $14,310, and they were not expecting that.
No.
And the bathroom renovation alone, just because of the plumbing issues, the house was built in like 1910, or I don't remember exactly, but no, it was right after World War One. So it would have been like around 1920 anyways. Plumbing wasn't really a big thing back then like it is now, clearly,
Right.
and especially in basement. So there was nothing down there to get everything through the toilets and everything back up to the plumbing system. So they had to put a lot of money into it, and we covered the entire renovation for that and then some.
Yeah.
So, and
And
that was, like
that's
I said, that's the one thing that we always kind of mandate is when we give them money, put it to good use.
yeah.
Don't pay somebody's salary with this.
Yeah, and that directly impacted the lives of the people that take that are able to take
Hmm.
not advantage of. Here we go again with that, but that are able to utilize
It sounds worse
those
than what you
services.
mean it to be.
Yes, exactly. But those people that directly utilize the services of the Gresham House now, because
Hmm.
of what you guys were able to do. So I'm glad that you're continuing that same mission on this time with something different. So very cool to
Hmm.
see. Um, you guys have always done a really good job also with the beard competition part of it, and in regards to having some interesting judges at
Hmm.
hand for that.
The one thing that I've been a big component or proponent of anyways is I do not want to have anybody within our club be a judge. And the first year is I literally got involved. I showed up at the end of the competition, so I still don't even know who it was that was actually judges then. I've never really asked. But I want other clubs to feel welcome. And that was been one thing that whenever I have gone to a few other clubs competitions, is they feel like sometimes it's biased.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that to heart, and I refused to have a judge from our club due to the fact that I don't want that even being mentioned. If somebody's biased, you have nobody to blame, but now your judges basically, which are from other clubs. So, and whenever we sit down for beforehand, I have a little powwow with all the judges, and they say, "Well, this is how do you want this judge?" And I don't want to stipulate anything. I have one stipulation. That's it. Make sure that the beard fits the category. Every single judge has a ruler, and if they feel that somebody is too long for that category, measure them. We'll have a discussion if it is, but they've all been measured at the door, and that way then guys fit into the proper category. Outside of that, it's your judgment, your call. That's why I asked you to be here, not me. Otherwise, I'd be sitting back there doing the judging myself.
Right.
So that's always the thing with them is I leave it up to them. And last year it was very interesting because uh, Barefoot Brains, as he's known as, he asked, how are we going to judge the best in show? And I was like, well, typically the way I see it most often, anyways, is uh, they take the winners of all the categories, and then you guys will pick from there, or you can go with the highest score, and that person goes as the best in show. And he said something that I've never heard before, and I liked it, so we ran with it. I was like, but it's up to you guys. And he said that best in show means who commanded the stage,
Hmm.
who put on the best show. He said, even if they didn't place in their category, but they just wowed everybody. I'm like, if that's what you guys want to do, go for it. and boy, did they deliver on that one last year.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
didn't know that you gave that instruction though. That's good. I mean, well, that you gave the instruction, but then his response was that. I'm just now hearing that. So that makes a lot of
mhm.
sense, and it's very cool because that's not done at every place. That's, as you
I've,
said,
I've
most
never been
places.
to a competition where it
Yeah.
was done that way. It's
Yeah.
typically judged out of the winners or who had the highest score. If there
Right.
was say there was 3 perfect tens, then literally those, then you can pick from those.
Right.
I've I do ask them to reserve 110 per judge per category. That way, it just alleviates the problem of too many tens being out there. Is
Yes.
that necessarily the right or the wrong thing? I don't know, but that's kind of the way that I've actually been told by most of our judges. Have all been they've competed at nationals, worlds, in large scale events, and most of them have actually been previous winners. Um, and that was one thing that they said that they like to do. So I've just kind of followed through with that ever since the in 2019 when we did it. They basically was Phil Jones, Jim Jones, and I'm drawing a blank here. I can't remember her name. But between the 3 judges, they had, I think it was like 150 wins.
Yeah. I do remember
I
that.
mean, it was an absurd amount.
Yeah. I do
But
remember that.
yeah, but they deserve it. You know, they're
Yeah.
wonderful people. The amazing beards, or in her case, crafted beards. But that was one thing that they said was just 110 per category, and I was again was just like, I like it. You guys are the ones that doing this. That's what you want. Do it, and that's just kind of we ran with it every year.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the event and the charity aspect of it. Can you give me a quick rundown of the judges that you have for this event?
Yeah. Um, this year we will have 4 judges. We got Stephen Hughes, who started competing in 2015, and he did nationals in Denver in 2016. He was with Rocky Mountain Beard and Mustache Club to start with, and then he moved over near St. Louis, so he is with the St. Louis Beard and Mustache Club now for the last 3 years. Um, he's pretty well known. Once you see him, he's different, not in a bad way. Just he stands out, uh, and he's like I said, he competes quite a bit. I'm not sure exactly where he placed in 2016 nationals off the top of my head, but I know he's like I said, he's competed multiple times, anyways, and he's won and or placed in quite a few himself. Um, and then we got Ron Rice, better known as Old Red. He's the current vice president of Beard Mob East region. He's competed a lot in the 9 to 12-inch category, and has placed quite a bit there. His fiance does compete quite a bit too. He's with in here in Indiana with Beard Mob, and then he's lives this next one. He's well known as the Glendale Santa.
Okay.
He's from Princeton, Indiana, and he likes to help Santa out, if you will. And excuse me, he sets up shop the Friday after Thanksgiving until December 24th, 21st, and he collects money for different families in need. And to this day, I think he said it's a little over 150 families now he's helped out with
Wow.
his charitable donations from his Santa endeavors. Um, and then obviously, Josh Tolan. He will be our 4th judge, and he's a former BVIN member and captain, and one of the original guys within the chapter. Left BV a couple years ago, kind of doing his own thing. He was a ambassador for Bedlam and liked the product so much, what it stood for, and had the opportunity to actually purchase and take over the company. And I think 2017 or 19, and he's just hit the ground running with that and puts out an amazing product. And he's actually going to be our sponsor this year as well for the event, and be giving out the prizes for all the contestants. And yeah, he's the only one of our judges recently, anyways, that has not been a national competitor and or champion, but is very well known within BV itself. So, and quite a few others, anyways, obviously through his club or beard care products with Bedlam. So,
oh,
but,
that's a great panel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very diverse, and people that know beards. That's, I think, when you're judging a beard competition, I think that's the most important thing.
Last year was our only time we ever had a judge that had never competed, never even been to a beard competition, knew nothing about it, but he was an active duty service member with the Air Force. And matter of fact, I think he's set to retire later this year after 22, 23 years, multiple tours in combat. And he's just a friend of ours, a few of us in the chapter. And we were just out having some drinks one night, and we were talking about it. And he said, I'm probably going to have to come over and judge this. And I was like, why don't you? And it started off kind of a joke. And then it was just like, he was all in and absolutely had the time of his life, he said. See, I don't know what I'm doing. I said, just ask the other judges. They've all competed, and most of them won at the national level. They'll help you out, man. But at the end of the day, it's your choice on who you think best fits the category, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, he was into it. He was really into it, and he did a good job
Mm-hmm.
because he was. I remember specifically talking to him about the fact that this was the first thing for him, a first time doing that. And I remember, listening to him talk. I mean, he had tried very diligently to actually do a little bit of homework, talking to some of the judges and try and get an idea of what it was that he needed to be looking for. So he did not take that task lightly. So
No,
that was really appreciated. So very fun to see.
He definitely took it to heart, and he did a good job on it. So.
All right. Well, I know that you have many different categories, and I won't necessarily ask you to run down the full list of categories. I know you have several of them, but can you just talk for a second about the timing again of, or you're still doing a meet and greet on Friday, and then what the timing is rolling in through when the event starts on Saturday evening?
Yeah. Starting Friday about 5:30, we'll be going over to Damsel's Brewery. It's a brew pub, and it's actually just kind of catty corner right across the street from the venue for the VFW for Saturday night for the comp. We've got the entire upstairs and a patio upstairs, and it's just it's a good little spot. It's not off the beaten path, but it's different. They've got some very unique beers, a pretty good selection overall as far as with what they put out. The food's pretty good and very reasonably priced. He's actually going to be donating some of the original beers that he first started making. Some of them even fall into the vintage category. So there'll be some really, really good beers that'll be up for grabs as on the raffle table come Saturday from there. We'd actually talked to him, but it was kind of a little bit late in the game when we started talking to him about putting out a beer for the event and just being on tap there. But still something that we're going to look at for next year and or just at a later time. And that would be for sale with bombers and or cans, depending on what they have at the time and how it's all going. And then Saturday, everybody just get up, start doing your own thing, breakfast-wise, as usual. And then about 11 or 12, we're going over to a car show. That the car show doesn't start until about 3 o'clock, but they're going to let us go out there a little bit early, and we're going to have a flag shoot with a lot of the older cars. We got some military vehicles coming in that are going to be out there for pictures and whatnot, and probably a few soldiers. And then at 5:30, we're going to open up over at the VFW for registration to get started, and then 6:30ish, depending on how everybody's in the door at that point anyways, go ahead and start the competition. you know how we like to run a little bit of a tight ship on that. So
Right.
I don't like an unorganized affair, if you will. So, and then probably have it all wrapped up 10, 11 o'clock that night, and after party either right there on Franklin Street, or people will be going back to the Hojo, the hotel, and a lot of people like to go back there. It's just a little bit safer, if you will, as far as nobody's driving nowhere. Nobody has to
Right.
worry about any of those extra expenses for Ubers and whatnot. And then Sunday morning, get up and do our breakfast. And then at noon, we go out for the Challenger Baseball League. And that's when we'll go out there. We'll cook burgers and hot dogs, man the concession stand, the booth right there.
Okay.
And that way the parents don't have to do none of that. They can just sit and enjoy the actual show with themselves. So,
Yeah.
and then
Can you talk before I
some,
forget to clarify though, on for the car show thing on Saturday, is there going to be some way that because usually at those car shows you have to show up and you park a certain place, you have to pay to get in and all that other stuff. Is that going to be?
we'll have all that locked in probably
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay.
They've still kind of working on that one anyways, on how they're going to set that up. So
Okay. Pay
they're
attention to the
promoting the
line
event as
chat.
well. So, yeah, we will have all the information by Friday at the latest. So
Okay. All right. Pay attention to the line chat, but just come to Evansville. It's a simple
mhm.
thing. It's a simple thing, folks. Just come to
Well, yeah.
Evansville and bring your cashola for the goodness of veterans and PTSD,
Mhm.
so you can help out with the charity, the raffle stuff, all that other good stuff. And real quick, the category or the cost of the admission and beard comp stuff.
It's $15 if you're competing.
Okay.
So, and it's just, there's no charge to come in the door. So
Okay.
if anybody wants to make a donation, it's right there on the spot. Just make a donation and we'll handle all of it from there. So,
Okay.
and
And
as
then
far as the categories, we do have 10, typically right at 10 anyways, what we've done over the years, from business beard 0 to 4 inches, and then 4 to 8, 8 to 12, 12 and over, whiskerina, kids creative, freestyle, partial beard, styled mustache. And by styled mustache, I don't mean you can only have a mustache to compete in that. If you want to do yours up, if I wanted to, it doesn't matter how. But that category is literally based off your mustache, nothing
right.
to do with the rest of the facial hair.
Good.
And
Good.
then
Good.
we do have a groomed 4 to 8 inch category, because there's a natural, and a lot of guys have always complained over the years that, like it's always the same ones that win, all these nice groomed ones, but if it says natural, so we put a natural one in and a groomed one in, so that way then there's no more discretion about that.
Okay. So what's the difference?
You're groomed.
Because I've trimmed.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not.
I'm
I'm natural.
I am
Mine
normally
just
natural.
goes.
Yes. I am normally
Well,
100% natural with mine, but I had to, when I went to the barber before World Meet, he trimmed me up here a little bit.
it's
And
not just here, but it's your none of your hair is going to grow all the same length all the time. It evenly throughout your whole face, head, whatever,
so you're talking even if you've had it trimmed.
groomed.
Well,
If it's natural, you don't trim it, you don't cut it, you don't keep it tight knit, whatever. It's natural.
so basically you
So
shower your Grizzly Adams.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All
mean, I'm
right.
not saying that, like somebody groomed as in like clean. Obviously, everybody should have a clean
Well,
body, but
we should
yeah,
we should hope so. No, I
yeah.
just mean basically
It, it,
if you've put any effort to comb it and make it look nice a certain way
combing
via
it's one thing. I'm
trimming and
talking like literally the block beard. It comes down over up. It's the perfect taper. Trimmed up here on your cheeks.
mine's
Underneath
not
all
bad.
cleaned up. Yeah,
No, mine's not
that's
like
the
that at
groomed
all.
look.
Mine's all
Oh,
wild underneath there.
oh, talk to me about
Uh,
it.
all right, well we'll figure all that out on Saturday. What category I fit into, we'll figure that out. But the last thing I wanted to ask you about, just because I want people to be aware and plan ahead, what forms of payment will you be accepting, and will the venue be accepting for the weekend?
Cash is always king, so that works out great. I believe they will have. There's an ATM in the VFW. There is one in the. There'll be one at everywhere we go, for one. So if you want to do cash, you got that option. If you want to, we do have Cash App through the chapter. You can go that route. The bar, either one. I do believe they have. I know Damsels you can pay with a card. I'm not 100% certain. I'm pretty sure that they do card because I know I did just the back areas where it gets kind of finicky sometimes. Sometimes it's just cash only back there. I will have to call them tomorrow and ask them that. But I'm
Okay.
worst case scenario, there'd be ATMs all over the place.
Do you know if the VFW accepts cards?
I know they do in the front. I don't know if they do in the back where we will be. So, but like I said, there's an ATM right there on site. So worst case scenario, you just walk right around the corner, grab some cash out. Good.
Cool. All right. Well, man, I'm excited for this weekend. It's going to be a good time. Every year it is. And it's, you're doing stuff for veterans, and that always brings out something different. It's a different feel. Mm-hmm. It's a different feel for sure. So looking forward to it. Anything else you want to say to everybody if they're still kind of up in the air, or do you have any like secrets or surprises you want to reveal about the possible weekend events?
I know there will be a few patches that you just don't see very often that will be available for purchase. And by that, I mean for my personal collection, I always like to toss in for an auction live on stage, and or maybe a silent auction back there at the back. And they will range from some that were only 30 to 50 made, and very sought after that I have. And we do have an event patch that will be there on site. We will be there was a, if you're in the event chat, we have a guitar that has been engraved and etched with our logos, and I'm not much of a musician or guitar individual anyways, but it's all made with we got a hell of a deal on it. It was labeled as a used guitar. It was still packaged, everything. It was just open.
Right. Open box. Yeah.
But that was it. So they couldn't sell it as new. And whenever we found out about it, we talked to them about it. So then they helped us out on the price even more. So that one will be there. And I know for a fact it plays. Saint, as you know, is a musician. Yes. He actually hooked it up and played it himself. He's restrung it. So everything is good, new, current, up to date. Everything is perfect working condition on that. That will be there. We'll auction that off at the event. Maybe a couple other things that will be let out Thursday or Friday.
All right. Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. It's always fun to have the surprises. But this is going to be awesome. Just a few more days away. If you're anywhere near traveling distance to Evansville and you're just looking for something to do and do some really cool stuff for charity, find your way to Evansville this weekend for Battle of the Beards. It's always an awesome time.
And the one thing that I like to tell people too, because they always, like with me, there was like, I can't compete against you. Well, first off, I'm probably not even going to compete because I'm hosting. 2, there's different categories. 3, you can come, don't compete, and just enjoy the entertainment. If you want to make a donation, make a donation. If you want to come and just hang out, see what we're all about, by all means, come on over and check us out. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. I've told that to people before. You don't have to compete. It's fun to be there. It's fun to be there. And that $15 that you would have spent to, enter into a category that you weren't sure about, you can use that other ways for the night. So, definitely.
There's
it's all going to
lots
charity.
of different ways. Yeah, 100%. There's so many guys that I know just within BV alone that they just don't compete. And part of it is they just don't like getting on stage. Part of it is they don't think they could win. Part of it is just they spend their money on stuff that they would have spent anyways by competing. They just put that money into the event anyway, so it's all still going to be spent just the same, or go to the charity just the same. So you don't have to compete to donate. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Okay, Popeye, thanks so much for taking some time out. I know you were just slammed this week on the home stretch, but I will see you in just a couple days down in Evansville, man.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it. All right.
See
I'll
you
talk to you
Friday.
soon. All right. See ya.
All right. Later, brother.
All right. That was Popeye, man. That was Popeye. He's always just, when you're talking with Popeye in a video or in an interview like that, he's like in his garage, just sitting there chilling. You could be around a campfire circle, which is kind of the feel that I always like to have with these things anyway. But with him, it's just funny because he's just chilling out in a lawn chair in his yard, in his garage. It's always a good time, man. But looking forward to seeing Popeye again this weekend and tomorrow, and hanging out with everybody down there with Battle of the Beards. Now, moving on. Now I've been mentioning now for a bit, been advertising as one of the events for this weekend is the Four Corners Meet. The thing that makes the Four Corners Meet so unique is that it's the event that's not an event. I think is the best way I could describe it in simplest of terms. It's the event weekend that's not an event. There is no agenda. There's no beard competition. There's no anything. It's just brothers hanging out, camping for a weekend, and in some cases even longer than a weekend. So it's just a really, really cool thing. And I got a great interview with a Mr. Sergeant Mayhem from Bearded Villains Rocky Mountain. And let's just kick right into that thing. Talk about the Four Corners. Okay, the second of two events that are going on this weekend here in the States is a big event that is loved universally by so many guys that go to this thing. If you hear anybody ever talk about the Four Corners Meet, they rave about it. So here to tell us a little bit about Four Corners Meet, what it means, what it's about, why it's so special, and a special little addendum to this year's event. Actually, we're going to be talking with Mayhem from Bearded Villains Rocky Mountain. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Billy P, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Long time no talk.
Yeah, it seems like it was, 2 years ago that we did our first Four Corners episode? That
Yes.
went not well.
Yeah. Yes. I saw your comment when you reposted the link. It was interesting to say the least. Yes.
Yes, yeah. I don't envy anybody who had to edit that.
That was me. And yeah, it was one of the glitchier episodes I've ever had to. I mean, it was so bad. It was, yeah, and that was actually before I really kind of mastered my way of editing the interviews that we do and all the different other stuff. So that took me a bit. And, so,
well, we didn't give you a whole lot to work with either. So.
well, I had to cobble together a lot of editing.
Yeah,
there was a lot more removing than there was piecing together.
Oh yeah.
But man, that was. But you look back on it, and that's part of the fun of it.
That's Four Corners in a nutshell, right there.
That's kind of what I've understood.
I don't want to say controlled chaos because it's really not, but contained chaos is a good word for it.
Yeah, it's funny because when I reached out in the chat for the event, and I was just like, I just need to talk to somebody who's in charge of this here thing, and like the first 4 people that responded, there's nobody in charge. It's Four Corners.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that doesn't help me out at all. I'm not just going to get one of you random schmoes to tell me about your event because, I mean, that might be fun, but
we don't want to do that.
They're just going to be like, oh, dude, we just go with the flow all weekend long. And I'm like, well, that's a great interview. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thanks. Yeah. That's a 2-second interview.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me the Reader's Digest version. Well, we just chill. There's a campfire and we just chill, man. Brother time. And suddenly we just now it's like we're talking to Ed Spicoli in the Bearded Villains campfire version. So, but yeah, so if you can, I know that it's different. What guys take away from Four Corners is different depending on who the guys that you talk to. That is one of the things that I think makes this event so special to the guys that go. So for anybody that doesn't know or is not aware of what Four Corners Meet is, can you give us a lowdown and kind of touch on why this one is a little bit more special and a little different from the others?
So Four Corners started as an interesting idea about 6 years ago when I was on the cusp of my 40th birthday, and I wanted to do something interesting. So I organized a camping trip with guys from the adjoining states with other chapters. So Phoenix, Utah, um, New Mexico, and at the time, I was the only one from the Colorado chapter who could make it because the other guys had stuff going on. So that was about 6 years ago, and then we took a year off, and then Demo, the Bearded Positivity, said to me one day at a chapter meet, he was like, "Hey man, we should do something big again this year. We should, go camping. We'll do like Mayhem Mountain Madness and stuff and whatever." And then I'm like, "Well, if we're gonna go camping again, well, let's just bring everybody. Let's bring Four Corners back." So I reached out to Oak and Rudy and Max at the time, who were all running the respective chapters, and we're like, "Hey man, we did this once. Let's do it again." And then the next thing you know, here comes Texas and California, and um, I'm not going to remember where he was from, but last year we had one of the guys from one of the Central American chapters come up. I think he had to take like 3 or 4 flights and then catch a ride with somebody. It was crazy. Um, but literally, it's a bunch of us out in the woods. We built like a little BV tent city, and we all just kind of connect. There's no real itinerary. We kind of do what we want to do. Um, we haven't been to the monument the past couple of years because of COVID. There was a lot of restrictions going on, so we didn't do that, which gave us more time to kind of just sit in the camp area and just kind of hang out. And it's a nice reset for the guys. I obviously am not there right now. I'm at home because I'm not going to be able to make it this year, which was a big bummer for me. But there are guys on the way now. There are guys there now. There are guys who are in the Cortez Walmart as we speak, grabbing food and getting ready to christen the campsite once again. We've been going to BLM land here for the past 5 years, and it's a nice way to meet the guys around us in the other chapters. So like we've got Rocky Mountain and Pikes Peak and Phoenix and Utah and New Mexico, and now a bunch of the Texas chapters show up whenever. I think Blue from Idaho is coming. We had a couple of guys from Idaho come out 2 years ago, and it's growing. It's growing, and it's an open door invitation. We post about it, we talk about it, we let everybody know when it's going to happen because we want guys to show up. And that's what it is. It's just us. No wives, no girlfriends, no kids, no families. It's just time out in the woods for all of us to just reset. We don't have to be on. It's not like a typical meet where there's a competition going on and you got to be pripped and preened and ready to compete with lanyards and all that other fun stuff. It's not that. It's just us. It's the essence of this whole brotherhood thing that we've been living in now for 8 years. Hell, at this point, Four Corners is almost as old as BV is. And this is something that we do every year, and we're gonna keep doing it. And even if this whole BV thing falls apart tomorrow, we're gonna all head out there again next year just to hang out. We've built that connection. It's a deeper connection. So when you run into guys who you've met at Four Corners at other meets, those are the guys you gravitate to. Those are your guys. This is my one of my favorite shirts because it's my Four Corners 2020 shirt. Yeah. Rudy does all the merch for the meet. We do patches and shirts and whatnot because the guy's a maniac and he hates free time because he's got 1,100 kids and designs all this other stuff. Um, and so you had said, what's special about this year? Well, this year is we're calling this the 5th anniversary because the first one was kind of a one-off, and then we didn't do it the year after, and now this is our 5th consecutive Four Corners. So this is 5 in a row for us. And also, this past year, Bearded Villains Rocky Mountain lost one of our brothers, Tyler, to COVID-related complications. So part of this year is just a kind of a memorial for Tyler again. We had a lot of the surrounding brothers show up for his memorial, and a lot of those guys he met at Four Corners. We had a special patch coming out this year that Rudy worked on, and it looks great. It's got Tyler's name and his IG handle and his birth year and unfortunately the year he passed away. So this year's for Tyler. And there's a bunch of us who can't make it, but we're all there in spirit. And I'm sure I'll video chat with the guys at least 1 or 2 times this weekend, just to check in and see how everyone's doing. I also do generally around the campfire, I'll do one Throat Punch Thursday video a year now, and it's usually at Four Corners. So I gotta call the guys tomorrow and make sure that that I don't break that tradition, even though I'm not physically there. I'll be there digitally. So
Yeah.
but yeah, man, that's kind of the brass tacks of the whole thing. It's a nice reset for us. It's just a time. It's kind of like is the reset of our like BV yearly calendar is Four Corners. Generally, it's the weekend after Labor Day and the weekend before Bearded Villain Rocky Mountain does our annual American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Walk, which is one of the charities that we're involved with. So it's a nice little break in the middle.
Yeah, it's a very I like the way that you said that. It's kind of like it's a calendar reset situation, and that it's a good way kind of maybe just to kick off your fall, but also that's maybe your year doesn't revolve around other things like a typical calendar does, and that
Right.
okay, the year, or you can think of it as like kind of a year-end thing each year, but
Yeah.
whatever it is, however you set your calendar up, this event has become for many guys a favorite event. I've heard guys talking about it. They love it more than any one of the other meets that are huge, because even though there's not 300 people there, there's the group of guys that are there. You're there with them the entire weekend, so you don't
Right.
have to make arrangements to go. Are we going over here for the meet and greet? Are you going over here for the event or some flag
Which
shoot? Or
hotel are you staying at? Which we can catch an Uber together to this place, and then you will get a lift over here. And it's not like that. We're there. It's just boom, you're there, and that's where you stay. And there's little spots where guys will kind of like set up chairs under canopies and whatnot, and we have a little camp cook station where people set up all the cooking stuff, so we all cook together, we all eat together. Meals are handled by chapters. The patches and the merch that Rudy sells on Friday goes to Saturday dinner. Like he takes all that money and heads off, and then usually it's like what are we grilling today? It's and that's the thing. It's self-sustaining, and there's time kind of stops,
yeah,
and you're able to stop and take a breath and just be,
right,
kind of live in your moment there, and the meat is whatever you put into it, which is what I always tell people. What Bearded Villain, what you're going to get out of BV is what you put into it, and what you get out of Four Corners is what you put into it. So, you can just go out and sit in a hammock all day and just stare at the mesas that surround the area and no one's going to bug you. It's not like, hey man, we got to go do this thing. And then we got to go do that thing. It's just, if that's what you want to do, have at it, man. Just make sure you're drinking water. It can get really hot out there. Make sure you're hydrated. So, we take care of everybody out there.
Yeah. I just, when I hear guys, when I hear this, and one of the biggest issues that I've seen, one of the biggest arguments against different events that are not Four Corners is that depending on the size of the event, you get there and okay, I want to see all these people that I don't see very often. So I'm over here for a few minutes, and I'm over here for a few minutes, and then it's, where are you going to dinner? Because I want to hang out. Well, I want to see this guy too. I want to see, and then the event comes up, and then you're walking around the room the whole time trying to talk to all these different people, and your time is dissected up into like little 5-minute conversations. Nothing's ever really that meaningful. You don't really get that, and I made a comment to Ed, my co-captain, this year. Some of the most fun events, and we've been to a bunch this year. Some of our most fun events that we've been to this year were the really small ones, where we were able to just sit and have those long conversations, the meaningful conversations with guys, where you didn't feel like your attention had to be diverted in 15 different ways so quickly.
Right. I mean, it's like these big meets turn into like BV speed dating, where you're like, I got to get you for 5 minutes, and I got to get you for 5 minutes, and I got to get you for 5 minutes. And, you don't have time to kind of like nurture those connections that you're trying to build with people, or that you have built with people, and you just don't have time. You don't get to see them that often. This is different. This is where you build connections. This is where you strengthen connections. You foster that brotherhood that we're always talking about. Don't get me wrong. I love the big meets. I went to Vegas for World Meet, and what was it? West Coast Meet next year is going to be in Vegas. I don't know what's going on with World Meet because I'm kind of halfway unplugged now, because I'm busy. I'm busy, but you know what? It's always about like, I'm not gonna. And when I go to these bigger meets, I try not to hang out with too many people that I already know. I want to meet new people. Yeah. That's the whole point of going to these things. Talk to the guys who are organizing things, and let them know that they're doing a great job. That's important too. But when I just want to sit in a chair in a circle and talk to other dudes, and listen to Scrappy from Texas tell everybody why Keystone is the best beer in the planet, and then pour one out in the dirt in front of him. I have that time to do that. Like last year was the first year we brought, like, people brought games. Like we had cornhole and other like just games that you're playing outside, and we're like, why haven't we done this sooner? Because normally we're just sitting around. We're just sitting in chairs talking, and we have like people who are walking around actually taking pictures too, because what happens when you go to all these meets, you're trying to like spend time with everybody, and you forget to take your phone out of your pocket and grab a quick photo with them, and then you're running around day 2 like, oh, I got to get a selfie with you, and there's so much time in the day to just kind of like, I'm gonna go take a nap, and I'll come back and I'll see you guys later. And everybody goes and does that. That's the thing. It's like, it's not like we all nap together, but hey, Beast may sneak in your tent and try to get in your sleeping bag with you. It's a thing that happens.
That's a great image, though.
Someone's going to get naked and jump over a campfire.
Those aren't pillows.
It happens.
Wow. That's why I've heard a lot of times there may be photographs, but it's almost like a Vegas style thing where it's kind of what happens there stays there. And
I mean, it depends.
some things leak out, but
Things get shared, and I swear to God, if you put that photo up, hanging up.
I'm not going to put that photo up on here right while we're
I
talking
mean,
here. Not while we're talking.
Not while we're talking. You'll do it after, which is fine because I won't have to see it. Because I listen on Spotify. I don't watch the.
Okay. All right. Well, you're home this week, so maybe you'll want to watch this one.
No, I can't listen to the sound of my own voice. It's disgusting.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I apologize for that. I don't have a voice changer on here that I can change it. So
I skip the silhouette.
Yeah.
And the voice changer.
Yours are very yeah.
Like I'm testifying against the mob.
Yes. We'll lower your
Speaking
voice.
of the mob, they're all a little angry with me because I'm not on my way down to Cortez. The guys were all really upset, but I have a good excuse for why I'm missing this year. My wife is having surgery tomorrow, so priorities.
Yeah, that's a good one to make. That's a good.
Yeah.
You have to. Yeah, that would not be a good thing for you to choose them over her.
You can still go. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, that's
well,
smart choice. Smart choice.
That's a trap. That's a trap.
That was a test, and you passed.
I passed.
So, of the guys that do come, because I've always said, if old BP is going to be making four corners, old BP is going to be making four corners in an RV. He ain't going to be doing it in a tent because my tent camping
We got space.
My tent camping days are long past me.
Hey man, I thought mine were too, but I got a tent cot and an air mattress. So I'm a good 7-8 inches off the ground. So I'm all right.
No, it's not even that. My last tent, I think I may have mentioned this to you last time we talked, but my last camping experience in a tent, even with an air mattress, it looked like the best thing I could describe it as, if you think of Chris Farley, what he would have been doing in a tent, trying to get off of an air mattress inside of a small tent. That's what it looked like, me trying to get up to go pee at 2 a.m. Yeah, it was not good. Plus, it'd been raining all weekend, and my tent leaked, and I said, no more of this. There's got to be a better way. So, I got to get my hands on an actual RV, and then
we get a couple of guys who show up in recreational vehicles or pop up campers and stuff like that. We got space, and we always have room to make room.
Okay.
So
what's the is there actual? Can you get like internet out there? Is there a signal?
I get a decent signal out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. See, I look for the creature comfort parts of it too. I can be out in wilderness for so long, but then
there's a progressively higher hill, so we have a tendency to camp at the bigger site at the top of the hill. So, we have a lot easier time catching internet signal.
Okay, good. Yeah, I got to have a little bit of creature comforts if I go to this thing. So that's a must. So plus, if I have an RV, I've got air conditioning if I need it too. So I'm just hey, us big boys need it. So
yeah, we do.
Well, man, I'm excited that things have gotten back to normal again in the last year or two, post what we were dealing with, and that there's so many guys just raving about and just so excited about this event this week.
We didn't stop either.
Right, I noticed that.
We're the renegade meet. When they put out the thing that said we're gonna put a kibosh on all large meetups, we kind of all looked at each other and said, nah, we're outside,
Right.
The tents are further than 6 feet apart. We're good, and we did 2 years under, quarantine conditions and no one got sick. So yeah, I mean,
and that can't be said for every meet, because there were other meets. There were a couple of meets even technically post COVID, when like 30-40% of the people came back and within a week had COVID. So
yeah, we do COVID on our downtime, and then everybody's healthy for 4 corners. So
that's the way to do it. Well, man, I'm excited. Is there anything that if in case anybody asks, because I know that you said that there's going to be merch available, and and possibly, the money may go back to you guys or whatnot. But if anybody asks, I know that you said that there's the patch possibly that kind of memorializes Tyler. Is there anything else is there any way for anybody that's not going to be able to go, do you think, that they can
So
get something, or
the
is it
thing is, we're a little stingy as far as that goes.
okay?
So you got to show up to get a patch.
I totally get it. I
You
knew
got
that
to show up.
I knew that I would get some questions, so I wanted to make sure
That's
that was
why
it.
and I generally don't think. And again, like I said, these are some of these rooms that I don't hang out in. Is these auction chats? You probably won't find a Four Corners patch in an auction chat, because it's one of those things where you know that's tied to an experience, and you gotta be there to get it, kind of thing.
I love that. I really do. I really like that. It's like a gift patch, and it's
Yep.
not
Come
nothing.
for the merch. Stay for the weekend, because it's gonna take you forever to get there.
Oh, well, that's a selling point. Sure.
Well, you're not gonna turn around and leave right away. I'll tell you that.
Put that on a brochure. It's going to take you forever to get there. That's I think it was like 20 hours or something like that for me.
Yeah, it's God, what we had year one Oklahoma. A bunch of the Oklahoma boys came out, and it was like 14 hours for them.
Wow, you'd think
Yeah,
it would seem like it would be much closer than that.
yeah, you'd think about it, but they're all at the far end of Oklahoma. They're at the far east end of Oklahoma.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's seven. Like we're in state. It's 7 hours from Denver. And that's an hour. That's an hour south of me. It's an 8-hour trip if I'm leaving straight from the house. But it's
Yeah.
worth it.
I guess
It's
it makes
worth
sense
it.
because I just mapped it, and for me, from my house, the fastest is 23 hours 10 minutes.
Jeez.
So, and I go right through
Well,
Oklahoma to get there. So
it's a good thing you're hauling an RV.
yeah, I have a place to stop and nap.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Now I just need to find that RV and have my wife approve me in getting said RV, and that's going to be the biggest struggle
Baby
right
steps.
there. Yeah,
Baby steps.
I can always rent one. You can rent
Yeah.
them out there, so I can use that as a tester to say, do I like an RV or not?
Yeah.
So we'll work on that. We'll work on that.
We got to get you out, man. We got to get you out.
Yeah, definitely. I said to the guys in the chat, it's on my bucket list. I don't know it's something that, because of distance, that it's going to be something I can go to every year once I go, but it's absolutely something that I definitely want to go to. So if I can make it fit for next year, I'm going to.
Four Corners is kind of like a potato chip. Once you've had one, you have a hard time stopping.
Now, I find it funny that you made a potato chip analogy.
Yeah.
Willingly.
Yeah, I did.
Without any prompting. You did that on your own
Nope.
there.
That's for the boys.
Okay.
That one's for the boys.
All right. I'm sure they'll enjoy that. Those who know, they
Those
know.
who know, if you know, you know.
You know, you know.
If
All
you
right.
know, you know.
Well, Mr. Potato Chip, Mr. Mayhem, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out this week. I know usually I have all sorts of questions about, what's the event going to be like? Who are the judges that are going to be doing it? Who's the charity going to be? What's the donation thing? All that stuff. I don't have to ask you any of that because it's such a simple but yet powerful weekend that you guys have. And it's an entire weekend of just hanging out with the brothers. If there's ever been, and this is I think this is the thing that should sell it to anybody that's ever been questioning what Four Corners is or why they'd want to go to it. If you've ever been to another meet and you've walked away from that meet saying to yourself, I wish I had more time to hang out with brothers and talk to some of the brothers there. I felt like I was all over the place all weekend long. And I think everybody feels that way coming away from any meet that they go to. If you've ever felt like that, Four Corners is the meet you need to go to because it's an entire weekend of that.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So,
You're gonna be tired of us by the end of the week. They're like, "Hey, I love you all, but I'm ready to go home."
yeah. And you need that next year to recover so that you're not hating each other by the time you come back for the next year.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
it's truly like
it's funny
brothers.
for us, for the Rocky Mountain guys. Like we see, we usually have a pretty decent sized contingent at the meet because it's our state and our meet. But then we see each other like the following Saturday for the suicide prevention walk. So it's like, hey, I just saw you, and that was fun, and
And the stories
now
are
we're gonna
still
do
fresh,
this.
so you can
Yes.
can you believe so and so? Yeah, what about that guy? Yeah, and then you don't see each other for a bit. So, but
Yeah.
man, I look forward to seeing some of the pictures because the pictures that I have seen in years past, they're great. They actually they do a really good job of capturing what it's like there at the camp area and the guys that are there. And there's
Yeah.
not
And
a single guy that's not smiling. So it's
yeah,
like you said, it's a reset.
Chev's usually wandering around camp with his camera. And then last year he took a ton of like photos with his drone. It was really cool. But yeah, some of the nice shots, the ones that get featured, that's Chev.
Yeah, yeah, he has a knack for that. So.
Yeah, he does.
All right, man. Well, hey, I'm sorry to hear that you're not going to be able to make it this year, but it's for good
Well,
reason. So
it is.
you'll be
There's
there in
always
spirit.
next year.
Yep, and hopefully that'll be the year I come back for it. Come back and see you there. So, I've just got a little bit of homework to do in the meantime. So,
I'm gonna hold you to that, PP.
I've got some homework to make sure that I can make that happen. So there's some steps that have to take place.
Hey man, I've got an idea.
Okay.
Right? The renting the RV thing was a good idea because you want to know that you can that you like it before you buy. It's we're not committal here, right?
Right.
Fly to Denver and then rent the RV here. So then you've only got a 7-hour drive instead of a full 24-hour drive.
Okay.
Right?
I could see that.
7-hour drive down, spend the weekend in the RV, 7-hour drive back,
Get in a plane and leave.
fly home. That gives you plenty of time to kind of marinate in the RV to see how you really like it. That way, also too, you're kind of you're close to all of us who are down here. So if there's any problems, you got people who can bail you out, and you're not stuck in the middle of Oklahoma or
Yeah.
wherever.
I like
So,
the idea, and
just
you
a
know what?
thought.
If I
Just a
do
thought.
that, I can maybe bring another person or two with me from the chapter.
That was also my thought process behind that.
Yeah, they might be more willing to make the trip then.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, you got me thinking now.
Well,
now. So, all right, it's on my list. It was already on my list, but now I've really got some thinking to do. So,
all right, brother.
buddy, thanks so much.
Anytime.
Tell your wife good luck, and we're
I
thinking of her,
will.
and good thoughts for recovery, and just stay safe out there and have a good time by yourself if you can. Stay in touch with the guys that are going to be there.
Oh, that's a definite.
Do your stuff. So I will look forward to talking to you soon and finding a way to make this happen next year.
All right, brother.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Good to see you again.
All right, you too.
All right.
All right. All right. Mayhem. So fun. Those little edited photos that were sent to me. That's the inside jokes of the Four Corners meet. The guys that have been there, they'll understand that. But first off, I want to say that he mentioned in the interview that his wife's having surgery. Got notice earlier today that everything went well. So, and she's home, or she's all good. And so, thumbs up. So the reason he had to stay back was for her surgery, and her surgery went well. So that's definitely a good thing. Man, this has been a long episode, but well worth it, guys. Lots of great information in here. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo Beard Products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. Okay, so I want to get in here and get our calendar of events away, and then just fly by the seat of our pants homeward and get you guys out of here. I appreciate you guys for being here so much. Let's just get into our calendar of events. All right. So as we said here, first up, disregard the first couple of items that are on the slide going across your screen right now. They're old. September 9th through the 11th, this weekend, Battle of the Beards, hosted by the Southern Indiana Villains in Evansville, Indiana. Meet and greet is on the 9th. Beard competition on the 10th at VFW Post 1114 in Evansville, Indiana. Also this weekend, September 9th through 11th, is the Four Corners Meet in Cortez, Colorado, just outside Cortez, Colorado. A camping adventure weekend for just brothers. Such a cool night, such a cool event, really, as we've heard. And it is on my list, for sure. September 17th, Villains for Appalachia. Villains for Appalachia is hosted by Bearded Villains Kentucky. They're raising money for those impacted by the floods earlier this year. Bearded Villains Kentucky in Lexington, Kentucky for Villains for Appalachia, September 17th. September 23rd to the 25th is ECM, the East Coast Meet, hosted by the SOMD and Chesapeake Bay chapters. It's in Baltimore, Maryland. Again, hosted by SOMD, Southern Maryland, and Chesapeake Bay. It's at the power plant in Baltimore. Again, September 23rd to the 25th, East Coast Meet. That same weekend, way over in California, all the way across the country, is the California Villains Meetup, hosted by the CenCal chapter. It's at Rincon Beach Park, 8 a.m. to dusk, all day long at the beach. It's bring your own everything. Bring your own beach supplies, food, drink, whatever you want. Just bring yourself and everything else. That's the California Villains Meetup, September 24th. Then September 30th, we're rounding out the month of September with the BV Beard Comp for Elevate the Spectrum. BV Beard Comp for Elevate the Spectrum, hosted by the Bearded Villains New Mexico chapter. It's at Juneau, 1501 First Street Northwest in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Beard competition starts at 7. That's the BV Beard Comp for Elevate the Spectrum, hosted by BV New Mexico, September 30th. Then we get into the month of October, and we got a bunch of stuff in October. October 8th, Mississippi celebrates their 6-year anniversary for their chapters. The 6-year anniversary is a traveling gnome beard competition in Tupelo. It's at Steele's Dive Bar. They got a 1 p.m. lunch, a 4 p.m. beard competition, 7 p.m. after party. October 8th, Mississippi BV's, plural, 6-year anniversary. Their traveling gnome beard competition in Tupelo, October 8th. Then the weekend of October 14th and 15th, we got a few events going on. First is the Florida Summit. The Florida Summit in Orlando, Florida. They're your hosts for the Florida Summit. Meet and greet on the 14th, beard competition on the 15th. The Florida Summit, come one, come all. Not just from Florida. It's not just for people from Florida. It's for people from all over. So that's the Florida Summit in Orlando, Florida, 14th and 15th of October. Next up, October 15th is All Villains Eve. All Villains Eve. This is a very fun, unique event hosted by the Phoenix Villains in Mesa, Arizona. Now check this out. Everything else is like a beard competition type of thing, right? No. Here, All Villains Eve in Mesa is a wrestling event. They are having a wrestling event with a costume contest, vendors, raffles, and so much more, benefiting the Phoenix Children's Hospital in Mesa, Arizona. Wrestling, boys. Wrestling. Very cool. Very cool idea. All Villains Eve, October 15th. That same weekend, on October 15th, across the country, over in Pennsylvania, is the Battleborn Killer Beard Competition. The Battleborn Killer Beard Competition, hosted by Bearded Villains Pennsylvania East. It's at the Wooden Match, 61 West Lehigh Street in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. The Battleborn Killer Beard Competition. It's a beard comp and costume contest, again, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, October 15th. Then the next weekend, we have 2 events going on. October 22nd in Utah, it's Villains Night, hosted by BV Utah. It's at the Handlebar, 751 North 300 West in Salt Lake City. Beard competition costume contest, raising funds for Family Place Utah. That's Villains Night, hosted by BV Utah, October 22nd. And then finally, October 22nd, here in Northern Indiana, my chapter is hosting the return of Ezra Crow. Bearded Villains Northern Indiana, again, is your host. It is a costume contest. It is a beard competition. It is, breaking news, there's going to be a magic show also. There's going to be a magic show in addition to the other stuff with a professional magician. It's at the Hobart Moose Lodge, 143 South Hobart Street in Hobart, Indiana, October 22nd. It's the return of Ezra Crow. Did you hear me say there's going to be a magician? A magic show, beard competition, costume contest. Yes, yes, yes. October 22nd here in Northern Indiana. Come one, come all. The last thing I've got for you is November 12th. November 12th, Beards Away 3. Beards Away 3. Hosted by, you guessed it, Bearded Villains Virginia. They are your hosts for Beards Away. More information coming soon. They had just announced the date this week. Beards Away. It's at the Bunker Brew Pub, November 12th, 2022. Beards Away. And that is the calendar of events for this week, guys. If I missed something, please reach out and let me know, and I will make sure I get it on the calendar for you. I hate it when I hear that I've missed stuff. Well, guys, we have been here for a very, very long time tonight. I do appreciate you hanging out with me. But that's going to wrap up episode 151 of The Heart of a Villain. Remember, you can still buy those shirts, patches, pins, all the good stuff at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com, theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. That's where you're going to listen to all previous 150 episodes. Some of them are kind of rough, I'll be honest. But it's a good time anyway. Guys, I want to challenge you, as I always do every week, to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Most important words I say every week, guys. Please remember them. It's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So, guys, for now, have a great night. Have a great rest of your week into the weekend. If you're traveling, if you're going to beards, if you're going to a beard competition, say Battle of the Beards, or if you're going to Four Corners, stay safe. If you're going to do anything else, stay safe also. I'll see you back here next week for episode 152. Till then, take care. Stay safe.
It's the heart.